that chain, I guess. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to push it your way. 1, 2, 3. But I can. You got it? I think so. I'm gonna let off easy, but okay. Yeah, you put it on your shoulders. No. And then I lift it up. Okay. And 1, 2, 3. Plus. Now I'm gonna push. Okay. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Together. Well, welcome back to Penniac Wilderness. My name's Jonathan, and I started this channel about a couple years ago with the help of my sister to document the build of this dovetail log cabin behind me. And since that time, a lot's changed. When I built the cabin, or when I was building the cabin, I never intended at all that it would be a place that I would end up living. And just a series of events sort of transpired that allowed me the opportunity to live in the cabin full time. But I think it's time for a change. And so on this video, I want to talk to you about that, why I'm doing that, what my plans are. And also, I really appreciate getting feedback from folks watching the channel as I embark upon this next big undertaking, which I've already started over the last month or so, but something that I want to pick up as the spring begins. When I built this cabin originally, or when I started building the cabin, there was never any plan that I was going to live here. It was just going to be a place that I could spend some days at here and there, to be in the wilderness and just enjoy that. And then I guess a series of events happened that led to the opportunity to live at the cabin full time, and that's been an incredible opportunity and something that I've really enjoyed. It's come with its challenges as well, but I would say the biggest challenge for me living at the cabin has been the length of my driveway. And that might sound silly, but it hasn't been the cold weather, warm weather, bugs, small space, lack of running water, needing to build off-grid showers and off-grid toilets. All of that's actually been relatively easy. But the hardest part is, and just kind of imagine, my driveway is about a mile long. So if I go somewhere, and for example, I still have a day job. So if I go to my day job, it requires this extra step of loading everything onto a snowmobile or four-wheeler or on foot, and going from the cabin about a mile from here where I would park a vehicle, transitioning to that vehicle, going to wherever it is I'm going, doing my job or whatever task I have that day. And then when I come back, again, transitioning from a vehicle into some other method of transportation to get to the cabin. And sometimes during the year, that's fine. Other times it's actually quite a challenge. And so I think long term, that for me at this stage of my life isn't a feasible living situation. And so as a result of that, I've spent a lot of time over the last months or year even thinking about what to do about that. And I think I've made the decision that I'm going to start the process of building a new home. But first things first, I'm going to finish packing this sled and take this equipment out. So I've got not a whole lot of stuff here, but I do have a power source, which I'm going to need for some of the projects that I'm going to work on. Some drill bits, power source, backpack, level, and a few other tools. And I've got all this in my polk sled because right now the woods road is really in not very good shape. The ground's not frozen, so it's wet, and there's about a couple inches of snow on top of that. So there's not enough snow for a snowmobile. There's a lot of water everywhere in the woods, and there's water holes that are a couple feet deep on portions of the road. So it's not great for a four-wheeler. I don't like tearing up the road a lot either, and when it's soft like this, a little bit of vehicle traffic with a four-wheeler or truck will rut the road really bad. So I've been using this sled to get in and out. That's why I'm using this, but it's just, again, an example of the challenge of living this far into the wilderness for me at this period of my life. So we're gonna load this up and take this to my truck and just store it there for a little while. And then we'll head down to the sawmill. So I mentioned earlier about this woods road being one of the challenges of living at the cabin. This is, right now, is about probably the worst time of year. There's some times of the year where you can drive in and out with my truck pretty easily. So after the ground's frozen and before the snow's on it, it's a really good time of year. And then in the summer, if it's a dry summer, the road does dry up and you can drive in and out, no problem. Behind me is one of the places along the road water collects. And I could improve the road over time, and I do plan to do that. But here sometimes, and probably right now, there might be, I don't know, there could be 2 feet of water here. And then there's another spot a little ways further up the road that's also bad. And so that's part of the reason I'm taking the polk sled today. I'm about halfway from the cabin back to where my truck is parked. The other benefit of pulling the polk sled is I can get the gear out, number one. But number two is I'm actually going to Nepal in April for the best part of a month, taking a group of people trekking there, and pulling this sled is great training for that. So I guess there's another benefit. But Anyway, so I'm not going to cross this. I'm going to have to take the sled through the woods. We'll get to the truck, load everything up, and then I think I'll go down to the sawmill. I want to saw some lumber for this new project that I'm starting, and so we'll head down there. I learned a lot from building my first off-grid home, and in the course of the next number of videos I hope to be able to show you some of the skills and techniques and experience that I've gained as I pursue this new adventure. And one of the things, and this is not maybe even the most important thing that I learned, but one of the things that I really think that could be a good idea when building, if you do have the luxury of a bit of time, is to start with your outbuildings and use that, especially for someone like me who's developing a skill set as I go, use that as an opportunity to expand skills before building maybe the centerpiece of your home or homestead. And so I'm going to start with building a small building. It's going to be a 8 foot by 8 foot or so dovetail styled cabin that's going to function as a place that I can store things, cook, eat, sleep, and live out of as needed while I build the rest of the structures. And so I'm back to my dovetail jigs. These are new dovetail jigs that I got help with building from a friend of mine who's actually he's a shop teacher. And these are going to work on logs that I've got that are 6 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And I'm going to use those to build the dovetail structure. That'll be the first structure to sit on the build site. And so I've started milling my lumber for that already. I've got not all of the wall logs done yet, but I've probably got a third of them. Floorboards are done, roof boards are done. And these dovetail jigs, I've mentioned this in almost all of my videos, but I got connected with a guy in Montana named Fred who runs a YouTube channel called On Beaver Creek, and he's a far superior builder to me, a great guy who's developed these jigs and can make plans for jigs based on the dimensions of logs you want to use and the gap size you want between your logs, which I think can go from 0 gap up to probably a couple inches or more. And so for this first on-site build, I'm going to be using, as I said, 6 inches tall by 4 inch wide logs with a 1 inch gap. And that gap's going to be half the size, or even a little less than half the size of the gap that I used in the original cabin. And I'm of two minds with the gaps in log cabins. I like the aesthetic, I do like the look of them, but the chinking process for the original cabin was really tedious. So by narrowing that gap up, I'm hoping that I can use a back filler in the gap, and then I'm probably going to use a more synthetic chinking material like permachink or one of the cousins or one of the competitors to that. So I'll use those dovetail jigs to build the original on-site building, and then I plan to use dovetail techniques for the majority of the subsequent builds. But I'm also hoping to integrate some timber framing skills that I've been communicating a lot with a guy who lives about an hour from me called Dovetail Timberworks, and he's a timber framer who I am planning to spend some time with over the next months and year to learn skills and techniques that'll help me integrate that building technique into the final build. And so by starting with the outbuildings, for me, it'll allow me both to have functional buildings that'll help contribute towards the final homestead, but also it'll allow me to develop skills as I go, so that the final thing that I build, the home, I can use those skills hopefully and have them dialed in a bit so that I can have a really nice final product. So all that to say, this is a big adventure and undertaking that I plan to start and have started. I've got a skidding winch on its way to help me get more efficient at my logging. And I'll talk to you more about that purchase at some point in the future video. But yeah, I'm going to start this, and I hope you'll enjoy this journey. It's a whole new build, a whole new adventure. And as I've said in so many of my videos, I appreciate very much the support from people watching, and really appreciate comments and constructive advice from folks who've done this type of work before. I've learned a lot from the comments on my channel, so if you have thoughts or ideas based on what I'm sharing with you along this journey, please share it. And yeah, and if you'd like to subscribe and see more of this, feel free as well. So anyway, thanks for watching the channel and all your support. Take care.